If you're a frequenter of my channel, you know that I'm doing project pans already for a few years, really trying to focus on certain products in my makeup wardrobe to try and get use of stuff that I already own, to try and be less wasteful and to utilize the products that I love in my sort of makeup stash. And honestly, if you saw previous updates, you know that I'm pretty decent at working through things, and generally it's very rare that I will use products for Project Pan and then ditch them. This time around, there are a couple of things that had happened to, because I kind of included them without being fully aware of how much I liked, or in this case, didn't really care for them. So that's a good way to weed things out as well. I don't like the messy in and out with Project Pan, but a lot of things in this current Project Pan got rotated out and really to be either given away or depotted, and I'll get to the specifics, and I will link videos in which I speak about those things particularly. So a lot of things also ran out this time around. I'm really happy about it because that's the whole point of Project Pan, but it's probably the most changes that had ever occurred within my Project Pan in 1 month. So let's talk about it. First, I'm looking at my list over here of the previous products in the Project Pan. Mostly because a lot has changed, so I need to refresh my memory what I was talking about a month ago. So, Guerlain Meteorites Oxygen Care Radiance Boosting Moisturizer is a product that I really enjoyed. It did have good skincare ingredients. It did make my skin look nice and smooth and radiant at the same time, which is very, very commendable for a product. I think it's a lovely texture. It's a really nice silicone-y feel if you like that. I do enjoy that with my dry skin. Very smoothing and radiance boosting, which I agree. All the claims that are on the bottle, I agree with. The bottle was beautiful and luxe and gorgeous, and the pump was just perfect. Everything about the product I liked, except for the fact it did not carry an SPF in it, which if that was the case, I would have just been absolutely over the moon and super recommending it. But the Meteorites Oxygen Care is done now. I completely finished it. There's not much left in there at the last update, and it's been a couple of weeks since I finished it, actually, maybe a week, yeah. This will appear in my empties for spring, so keep an eye out for that video in a couple months, but that's done and over with. And the empty right now is in a different town. I asked my husband to consolidate my empties so that I can actually film a video later and not lose products while I'm between the two towns. So that's not here, so I have nothing to show you, but it's done and you will see it in my empties. Next one is Laura Mercier Silk Cream Foundation in the color Rose Ivory, and I still do have that. This Silk Cream Oil-Free Photo Edition foundation is a good foundation. It's actually a very good color match for me. I like the texture, but I've actually been reluctant to wear foundations. I've been avoiding foundations, so there's not much progress. And this really hasn't shifted at all, which is, I don't really love the fact that I'm not getting through my stuff, but I've been wanting to wear concealer where I need it, and the rest of my skin is just bare with sunscreen on it, which is what's going on today as well. I have a little bit of concealer here. I have a little blemish on my cheek that is very unusual for me, so I'm trying to work out what is going on. It's most likely, you know, hormonal, if you know what I mean. So I've been not really reaching for this over the past month as much. I've used it a little bit, but really I've not been enjoying the look of foundation on my skin, so I really slowed down with this, which I understand is not great for the Project Pan purposes, but I wear makeup for fun and I like the looks that I like. And right now I like the look of really, really, really sort of natural skin, like super natural skin. Right now you can't really tell I have foundation on my skin because I don't. I have my Hint Beauty Primer with SPF, which I really like. And this is nice and moisturizing. Creamy, lightweight consistency with also skincare benefits as well. And it's titanium dioxide based. So it is a physical sunscreen of a texture that I don't mind, and it doesn't leave a white cast. So if you're interested in physical sunscreen, unfortunately pretty pricey. I think $60 some I paid for it. from the Detox Market. I'll leave the Detox Market link down below. I just recently got affiliated with them because I figured that's people keep asking me where I'm getting my stuff. I always mention the stuff that's been sent to me, but the Detox Market, it's strictly because I actually buy from them all the time. So I figured I'd throw down the link because I always get questions where I'm buying things. So the Day Prep is what I'm using right now for a primer and, well, slash sunscreen. And this I'm not using so much. And then I'm throwing on a little bit of a lightweight concealer to conceal whatever it is I want to conceal, and then leaving my skin as is, which I really have been enjoying. It's a look that I like. It's a feel that I like. It's springtime, so I feel like being a little bit lighter with my makeup anyway, and I'm not wearing much in terms of makeup. I'm just wearing a lot of skincare and then a touch of makeup. So Laura Mercier hasn't been making it to my makeup table most of the time, unfortunately, but I mean, I'll keep it in. It's a really good product. I enjoy it. But it's just, this is not the look I'm into right now. I'm not into a look of foundation. And Laura Mercier, to be fair, you can't really see on skin. Truthfully, it's a foundation that does blend in very, very well. The pigment particles, if they obviously are a match for you, they do sit on skin very lightly. It does tend to look like skin, but even still, I'm choosing a concealer for some reason. I'm not sure why. The primer that I want to add in is this Laura Mercier. I figured maybe it'll sort of encourage me to use the Laura Mercier foundation, but I wanted to use up this little sample size, and I don't know how much is in here, 15 mils. So this is half of a regular size, which is a decent amount, and this is Laura Mercier Foundation Primer Radiance. So why did I pick this? Because in the spring I always want a lighter, more radiant complexion. I always like radiance, but in winter I feel like a little bit more makeup goes on my face than in the spring and summer. First of all, because it doesn't feel sweaty and doesn't melt off as quickly as it does in the warm weather, but also I feel like applying foundation almost as a protective layer on my skin and can be helpful with the weather. So Laura Mercier Foundation Primer in Radiance is the stuff that I want to try. I've never tried this primer before. I've tried a sample of Laura Mercier primer, like the original foundation primer, but I haven't tried the Radiance. So this is going to be a new experience for me. And maybe even if I don't pair it with the foundation, or maybe I'll combine them and see if I can get a more radiant look out of this guy. But I'm thinking even when I'm going for my no makeup look and when I'm going for this bare skin thing that I've been doing, I think this could be good to use with that, because I do like a little bit of radiance with my no makeup look. Another thing that I'm adding in that is absolutely new to my project pan right now is another powder. I actually finished a little Youngblood sample of a loose powder, which I already have in a big size. So I wanted to include something again for spring, because I do enjoy a lightweight application. And sometimes, you know, all you want to do is just throw on a little bit of a powder with a little bit of a coverage, a small amount of coverage, buff it in and go. And for that, I normally prefer my Bare Minerals loose foundation, the original, not the matte one, not the radiant one, the original. I really love the original Bare Minerals foundation. I think it sits wonderfully on my skin. It really does a good job of blending in. When you actually take the time to buff it in, it does look like skin, absolutely. I'll show you how I apply it someday soon, but the Nude by Nature Flawless Pressed Powder Foundation is the one I chose, and I have N2 Classic Beige, which is a hair darker than my skin tone, but I'm thinking maybe once I'm in the sunshine, it'll all equal out. Generally, it is my skin tone pretty much. Unfortunately, this is a powder that cracks, so I will not be repurchasing it, even though I think it's a decent powder foundation, but mine is kind of cracky, and I'm not doing but I'm not doing anything crazy with it. Like even a slightest little pounce or drop cracks it up. And I've owned powder foundations before, and a lot of them aren't like this, and some of them are. So I don't like the fact that it crumbles. I suspect that it's probably going to be annoying to use it up because of that. So far, this is what it looks like. I've used up a decent amount of it, but it also definitely, you can see it definitely cracked. So It's probably because of the cleaner ingredients, is that this is what you get, kind of. But I also know of cleaner brands who have powder foundations that are pressed and they don't crack this much. Also, it could just be my single package, right? It could be not generalizable to all of their pressed powders. It could be just that I got a bad one, or mine was pressed funny, or whatever. So I'm not really sure that this is a thing. Let me know if you've tried Nude by Nature pressed powders, and do they do the same thing to you as they do to me. I'm not impressed by the fact that it's cracking and crumbling. But I will use up this powder, and I think it's doable, especially because it is reasonably softly pressed. It's a nice color for me. It works very well, and it buffs into skin in a beautiful way. The finish is sort of satin, so it's just exactly the finish that I do like on my skin, and probably will suit most skin types. If you're very oily, you might need to blot or set with a setting powder on top of your powder foundation, but you already know that because you're probably doing that mostly, unless you're using a very, very matte powder foundation, which is also a look. Not a look I like, but it's a look that a lot of people do enjoy. So this one, I'm still not 100% sold on because it is so crumbly, but I like how it looks. So I decided to go ahead and just have it out with it and make sure I use it up and get my money's worth out of it. And then move on, because honestly, once this is done, because it was so crumbly, I'm not into the idea of repurchasing it. However, the ingredients are good, the product itself is good, it's just inconvenient, and they haven't thought through the consistency of the formula to make it user-friendly, so to say. I'll leave that with them. Let's move on. Then I have NARS Laguna bronzer on my list that I had in last time, and this is a product I finished up as well. There's really not much left. I completely demolished the rest of the little Laguna bronzer, and it will come up in my empties for the spring, so watch out for that. That is going to come up. But yeah, I'm completely out of that bronzer. The bronzer that I decided to replace it with is a cream one, and I think for the summer, given that for the summer, I generally like to pretty much wear no base product except for sunscreen and a little bit of concealer, I thought a cream product would work for me and would work rather well. And if I want to set it, I can set it with a powder, but I don't absolutely have to because I do have dry skin. So generally, I don't set my cream products necessarily unless it's a concealer under the eyes. That I set because otherwise it's a creasy mess, but generally on my face I don't really set cream products. So I thought a Clinique Chubby Stick would do a good job, and it's Clinique Chubby Stick Sculpting Contour 01 Curvy Contour, and they say it's a contour stick, but really I don't think that it is. This is the color of it. It's rather warm for my skin tone, and I'm neutral to cool. It does, you see it's pretty dark, but it does sheer out very, very beautifully. Just a couple of strokes of my fingertips, and it's really nice. I think it's a pretty color. I think it's a pretty effect, and it does kind of set after a while, so it doesn't really travel on your face, which is a good thing to have in a cream product, especially for the summer months. So I think this is quite universally good, actually, because although I enjoy creamy product and I don't mind slight tackiness that sometimes it leaves behind, for instance, Living Luminizer and other RMS products, I don't mind the tackiness. Some people really hate the tackiness left over on their skin. They want their skin to be like touchable, powdery, or you know, just smooth and soft. I don't mind a slight tack. This one does not give you any of that. This is no tack product. It sets on its own and it just stays where it is, and it's not at all, doesn't have any gloss or shimmer or any kind of particles in it. It's a very smooth cream finish product that sets to a set cream product with no reflective properties whatsoever, which again, I do like reflective properties, but I'm just highlighting it because not everybody does. A lot of people like a very matte look, and this will give you that if you're interested. So that's why I thought it would be good for the summer months, spring and summer months, and that's why I'm including it here. I do have a decent amount of it left. I used some up, but there's a good amount of it left. I think very doable in terms of Project Pan, but this certainly will take a long time to get through because, as you saw, it's pretty pigmented and I don't need a ton to reach a very natural effect that I do want on my face. if you are darker skin toned, you can layer that, unless you're darker than this, basically. You can layer it up and either turn down the color and share it out, or you can have a pretty saturated color, and really it can work for multiple skin tones, which is why I think this is a very interesting product. And you see, you can just sort of share it out in a more concentrated manner, and here you go. You have a very pigmented swatch, and it will also set on your face and do fairly well, wear well, just as it does for me. But you know, you can go anywhere from here to here and it's not a problem, which is a really good idea for a formulation. And I think they did a good job with the formulation at Clinique with that particular product. So keep an eye out for that in my project pan, and tell me down below if you have used that kind of a contour stick, or if you used any cleaner contour sticks of that same quality, because I'd be curious to know what to replace it with, if I ever want to replace it with once it's done. Next product in my project pan is the one that's been here for a while, and this is, I can't even read because the nubbin is so small, but it is my Nudestix Matte Lip and Cheek Pencil in the color Belle. These are genius, and I wish they were cleaner. It is a really lovely peachy pink with a brown mixed into it. Like such a neutral color. It's beautiful. It looks good on lips, but I don't really love this texture on lips, although it wears fine. It's a little bit, because it's a rather lighter color than my actual lips, and it is matte. It does create this line on the edge of the lip that I'm not a huge fan of, and I generally don't like matte products on my lips anyway, so you know, do what you want with that information. So I do think it wears well. I think it works well on lips, cheeks, and lids for me, and I've tried it every which way and it works. And I love this on lids, actually. This is a really nice peachy pink neutral color. It does set. It wears very well. I love it on cheeks as well, and you can really share it out to your desired pigmentation. I really like to share it out into almost nothing, but you can wear it in a concentrated manner. You can sharpen it and use it as a lip pencil if you wanted to. So in general, you can do a more concentrated or less concentrated version of it. It's really good. I know it's indie, so still the original owners are the owners. So I'm really supportive of this brand because they do a great job formulating. And to me, formulation is everything. And I like their little simple minimalist packaging. And I don't have a lot of this guy left. I have a couple more at home in the town that I live in originally. Here's where I work for now for the next month and a half at this point. So this one is, I really enjoy it, and I will use it up, and I will use up the ones that are in my collection currently, but I don't know whether I would be purchasing. I'll review the ingredients once again, but they're not super clean, so I wish they were. They're not harmful in any way, but I just enjoy a lot of skincare like things infused into my makeup, and that's just me. If you are just after really excellent textures, I think Nudestix is amazing. I've only tried their color sticks, so I can't vouch for any other products, but they have really, really great reviews on YouTube, and a lot of people really enjoy them. So I'm tending towards recommending them because they are very well received and very well reviewed in general, not just for me, but for me, those matte sticks are really, really, really good. So keep an eye out if you're interested. Actually a good buy, I think. And the price is not exorbitantly ridiculous. So also a point for them on that. Then we have Smashbox LA Lights Blendable Lip and Cheek Color. That is empty. It's gone. There's nothing left of it. So obviously it left my project pan. I am not a scraper. And what I mean by that is I don't have products that I then like go in and scoop every single last bit out of. I don't do that because mostly I'm like, okay, you're done, you're done. And I'm not putting in so much extra effort when it's not worth it. With this product, the LA Lights by Smashbox, that stick highlighter, I liked it so much that I did that. So that's a testament to how much I enjoyed the product because I scraped. And I don't scrape, and here I scraped, and I really loved it. I loved it to the last drop. It was a beautiful sheer highlighter. It looked very similar to the RMS Living Luminizer, but it wasn't tacky. And Living Luminizer is a bit tacky. Well, it is, you know, coconut oil based, so it was tacky from the oil. And I love that luminizer. The look was really similar. If you like a very clean option, then RMS is obviously better, and you can tolerate the coconut oil. For me, coconut oil is not a problem. It does not clog me up. It works very well on my dry skin. But if you are a fan of something that is not tacky and sets down really nicely, then Smashbox, their little stick highlighters will work wonders for you. And I do believe they have a decent color selection. Take a look at their website if you are interested. Then we have Buxom Full-On Lip Cream. That's also done completely. I had put that in the empties. Yay. Tom Ford lipstick in Addison is a sort of light pink with a slight drop of peach in it. That is at work right now, so I can't show it to you. It's still going. I'm using it a little bit at a time. I'm not a huge fan. I will use it up because it's a good lipstick, but it's nothing special. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's anything like groundbreaking. I think it's a good lipstick. That's it. So no recommendation from me there, unfortunately, for Tom Ford. I think for their price point, they need to go far above and beyond to impress, because I think that the quality should be reflected in the price tag. And honestly, by Beauty I like better, and they are half the price, if not a third of the price. So Tom Ford, lukewarm on that. It's a good lipstick, but you know, I always think about it like price per ounce ratio here is not good. But it's nice. It's just nice. That's all. I'm not shitting on it. It's okay. It's pretty good. Next, we have a Chanel highlighter, and here I have to talk to you about this. Let's talk about the Chanel highlighter. It's Chanel highlighter in plisse lumiere. I included it fairly recently. I really wanted to love it. I put it in without having fallen in love with it over a long period of time, and I am not even in like with it. I'm going to definitely pass it on. It's a big gelée formula. It's pretty good. The color is all wrong for me. The texture isn't as fine and reflective as I enjoy. And it was a disappointment. I'm like, what is all the fuss with the Chanel highlighters? And why was I a part of that fuss? It is not that great. I was a little bit weirded out because I'm starting to get to the point where brands don't really matter to me, because you know, something being expensive doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. And generally, cognitively, you're always aware of it. You are aware of it logically. It makes sense. But oftentimes, we sort of fall into the pitfall of, I must love it because it was so expensive. And I'm just like so over that mindset. I'm not ever going to love something just because I paid a lot of money for it. And I'm over Chanel in general. They have some good products, but they're not clean. Their packaging is not amazing. It's nice and clean looking, which I prefer and I enjoy. But again, the price doesn't really reflect the quality. Yeah, to me, I've just basically seen better. And I wasn't as impressed with that highlighter. It was really just the wrong skin tone for me. It was a little too dark. It was beige, but like a little too dark. I liked the undertone, but not the skin tone. So surely can find a better place to live. Somebody else's makeup bag, probably. But what I did want to note is, you know, skin tone match, that's my fault. I probably wasn't paying enough attention when I was purchasing it. I was just fascinated at how good the swatch looked. And what a highlighter looks like in a swatch isn't how it's going to show up on your skin. I couldn't see the glitters or any kind of shimmery particles or anything like that, which would not necessarily bother me, but I was looking for that smooth, big gelée feel. And honestly, that highlighter did not provide that smoothness, did not glide over the skin seamlessly. It didn't do that. That's what I wanted it to do, because it was a baked gelée formula, and that is what baked gelées for me are supposed to do. And it was just a little coarser. It looked like stuff on skin. It didn't look like a glow. And I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And I felt like the quality was inferior to some of my other highlighters, honestly, the baked gelée ones. And case in point, here's my Dior Skin Nude Air Luminizer in 002. And while I was trying to love the Chanel one, really what I wanted it to do is what this one does for me. This is the correct skin tone for me. This 002 has a slight peachy pink shift, and it's light enough for my skin tone. And I'm a little bit drowned out in terms of lighting right now, but generally it's a very gentle, pretty highlighter that you can certainly build up and make look like skin on skin. It is very pretty. It is glowy, and you can get a very natural look with it. It does shift a little bit pink, which is kind of against that all natural look that I'm talking about, but it looks fantastic on my skin. The texture is soft, and there's no grittiness as it applies. You know, it's almost gritty to the naked eye of what you could see from the Chanel one. This one is smooth. The beige gelée texture is exactly what I want it to be. It is just really lovely, and I love using it on my eyelids. I love using it on my cheeks, on my cupid's bow. It's on my cupid's bow today, so if you're wondering. The poutiness is from this. So really what I wanted Chanel to do, I all along had this one in my collection just laying around waiting for its turn. I'm getting rid of the Chanel because honestly I will always pick this one up over it, and I enjoyed it so much over the last month that I did want to include it into my project pan it. I'm not going to repurchase, not because I don't love it, because I do and I would recommend it, but I am looking for cleaner alternatives. I have lots of highlighters that are cleaner. Nothing quite like this so far. I haven't seen a great amount of beige gelée formulas in the clean beauty realm anyway, because I'm assuming it's hard to make those kinds of formulas in the clean beauty realm, but I have enough highlighters to last me a lifetime. So once this one is gone, and you can see I already am wearing down the embossing, I don't think I'll need it again, but I think it's really awesome, and I do recommend you check it out. If you're on a hunt for a highlighter, they have a decent amount of shades, so I'm pretty sure that basically everyone as pale as me or as dark as a darker skinned individual would be able to find something that would fit them within this range. I think the range of colors that they do have is pretty decent. So mine again is 002, so if you're pale like me, this would probably be a good pick, and this is in the permanent collection, so check it out if you're interested. For me, this is probably going to last me the entire freaking year, so yay. Next we have Guerlain Palette Or et Merveilles, and this is a palette that I showed and tried to use since the beginning of the year. But I realized in using it, I wanted to use it because I am in this situation where I'm living between two towns, and my family's in one and my work is in the other, and I spend half my week here, and my husband brings my kid and we spend half of the week here together. Sometimes I travel back on weekends. It's a bit of a mess logistically. However, we're making it work, and whatever, it's going pretty well. Given that situation, I wanted to include and pack something with me that I could use in my project pan, that I could use on an everyday basis, that was pretty neutral. And it was a double-decker of a palette. On top we had, I think, 5 eyeshadows, and out of those I ended up using only 2, which I depotted and put into my palette to use up. And then the second deck was basically you know, some blushes, and those blushes were very, very pigmented. There were a few of them, and they had different levels of pigmentation in the 4 blushes that were there. And unfortunately, the blushes that were most pigmented, meaning that those are the ones that would pick up on the brush when you swept over the pretty small palette that was there. The ones that were there and were pigmented were orangey, and I don't like orangey blush. There were some pinky blushes kind of in there as well, but they were less pigmented, so whenever I would swirl my brush up in that small pan of different colors, I would only pick up orangey corals, and that's not what looks best on me. So I ended up just kind of not liking the looks I was coming up with. I wanted to move on from them basically, and so I depotted the stuff that I was using out of the palette and then tossed the rest of it because it was also getting up there in age, which is why I wanted to include it also. Anyway, so that is gone, except for the 2 shades that I did depot, that I was using quite a bit, but there are 3 shades of eyeshadow that I wasn't using at all and didn't like the quality of or the color of. There's a gold there, and I barely ever use that kind of a gold. There's a matte pink, which what do you do with a matte pink? I just, you know, I wasn't using it, and it was also poorly pigmented. There was a shimmery sort of cream color that I wasn't really sure what to do with. I could use it as a highlight, but the pan was so tiny that it just didn't make sense to put a bigger brush in it. It was basically, I'm done with the palette, and I thought it was a good buy at the time, and I traveled with it and it was okay, but I was never in love with it enough to want to keep it forever and ever. So that's out. I don't care for it, and I'm glad that it's done. Then we have a couple of eye products that I have included previously. These are not new to the project. One is Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in Amethyst, and I'm nearing the end of this little guy. I really enjoy these caviar sticks. I've spoken about them before. As you can see, I really like Laura Mercier products in general. I have 3 of them in this particular project pan, unintentionally. It's not like I'm trying to pan Laura Mercier stuff, but this is really, really lovely, and it wears well, and it gives you this bit of a grungy look, and amethyst is a really fantastic color for me. Those dirty purples those are colors that I really enjoy. Pewters, dirty purples, shimmery greens, old gold colors, and sort of those are the colors that I go for. Those are the colors that I think look best on me and with my skin tone, hair color, and eye color. And so I'm really happy with this. I think this is fantastic. I wear it reasonably frequently, and I do recommend these. I will not be repurchasing, but I have not found a green beauty alternative that would satisfy me to the same extent. The eyeliner I've been skipping mostly. I haven't really been wearing eyeliner. I would be either not lining my lash line at all, or lining it with something very lightweight, like a medium toned shadow and nothing else on the lid, or make the lid glossy. That's kind of the vibe I was going with. So the Bobbi Brown Patina Ink Long Wear Gel Eyeliner has not seen the light of day very much, honestly. It's not my favorite liner. I can build it up and make it work for me, but I would not recommend it necessarily. It's nothing interesting, nothing special. The MAC liner is better, I think. If you're non-clean beauty lover, I would go probably with that. The Inglot one is really excellent as well. The Bobbi Brown one is just okay. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's also not performing wonders. It's meh. It's fine. I haven't really been using it. Nowhere close to pen. I don't really know. Let it hang out there, I guess, until I'm in the mood for it. And then we have diorshow Brow Styler in the color 001 Universal Brown. This used to be my favorite brow product to use, and I'm sad to say it is no longer my favorite, mostly because I was previously just filling in with this. But recently I've been going for a different brow look altogether. I used to groom my brows. I never had, you know, thin plucked brows, and I never really liked that look anyway, so I'm glad that I didn't participate in that trend. But I would fill them in. They would be really nice and trimmed and cleaned up, and I've stopped doing that. Now I let my brows go wild, and I mean, this is not wild, but like for me and for my brows, it is. And I brush them up. I use something like a brow gel to just basically brush them up, and then I leave them alone for the rest of the day. Right now I'm using this Nude by Nature Precision Brow Mascara in 02 Brown, and I really like it. It's a strong-ish hold. Soap brows are really cool, but I just happen to have this, so I'm going to use that up before I move on to soap brows. This guy kind of is sticking around without much purpose. There's not that much left. I think I can knock it out, but I just haven't been going for a filled-in brow anyway. It was a really natural bushy brow idea that I've been dealing with. I haven't been filling them. I haven't been making them anywhere close to precise or groomed. I like right now just like sort of a natural grow as you please kind of brow, and they're not precise, they're not particular, they're not cleaned up, and I like that. So this one is a little bit like meh. I haven't been using it all that much. Anyway, so this is my project pan. This was a really long update because mostly there's a lot that happened in my project pan. I hope it was fun for you to watch though. Let me know how you're doing with your project pan if you're doing one. Or if you're not doing one, then what do you like about these kinds of videos? Because obviously if you're not interested in project pan and you're not doing one, you're still watching, so you're curious. Anyway, see you guys later. That's it for today. Have a wonderful day and good luck.